Today I'm going to talk about a mental disorder that has been wreaking havoc in our community, right? And it has caused some people to be harmful to themselves. The lonely cry, the tears of a person that's dying inside, hurting inside. And I can tell you this much, that I'm a victim of that. Imagine being a child and you're dealing with someone in your circle, in your surrounding. It could be a parent, it could be a friend, a family member, it could be a colleague, a coworker, someone in your circle, and that person have this illness. They operate in the world, they have this very pleasant aura about themselves. It's as if they're doing more than is necessary. And they would appear to the world or everybody else that they are the most nicest person you could ever meet, right? And all they're looking for is a supplier. You have these people that's dealing with narcissism. They have this narcissistic behavior. And they'll gaslight you to make you believe that what you're seeing is not what you're really seeing. What you're experiencing is a lie. And I can tell you this much, and I hope you're hearing me, folks. I can tell you this much. As a grown man, being raised in that environment, full circle, growing up, and now dealing with the crisis of trying to overcome that feeling of deep hurt when you can't believe that a person that you love so much or that should love you is emotionally terrorizing you. Listen, I've learned in this last few years that when a person comes and they're giggly, happy, super happy, they start buying the things that you like, start showering you with gifts, they start mirroring your personality. Be careful. Be very careful. Because that person is only developing their victim. They're developing the person that will become their supplier. See, all of us are narcissists in some way, right? We're vain in some way. We wake up in the morning and the first thing that some of us do is stare in the mirror. And we dance around in the mirror. We look at ourselves. Women put on their makeup, fix their hair. Guys, we cut our hair. The natural grooming stuff. But some of us are excessive, right? And when we want more pleasure in that excessiveness, those that suffer with narcissism, they look for someone that could be their narcissistic supply. I can tell you this, and I'm going to open up, and I plan to do a series on different behaviors. And I've been told by family members and close members that are like family that don't do it. Don't talk about it. It's family. They shouldn't know. If you talk about it, it's going to live on the internet forever. Yes, I understand that, right? And maybe this is like I'm documenting this, that if something should happen in the future, I talk about some of these things. There are some things that have happened while I was growing up that if I was to talk about it, it will make your mouth drop. And those of you that know me and know the type of person that I am, I always try to put my best foot forward unintentionally. I will, just being a nice person, you know, I'm going to say this. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Jew. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Buddhist. I don't belong to any religion. And I would tell people that I was baptized 7 times in 7 different denominations in Christianity, right? And some of the behaviors that I saw made me step away from it. And I said, you know what? I just want to be a good person and do good unto others as I like done unto myself. And so I set out to be that person, right? And I do it unapologetically. I don't ask for anything in return, right? I'll go over and above to do nice things just because that's who I am. And some people have taken niceness for weakness. Be careful of a person. Be careful of a person that will ask you for information and then turn around and use that information as a weapon. When a person shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If you just say like, hey, no, that's not who they are, you make excuses for them, that's what they want. They want you to make excuses for them because that will allow them to replicate what they did before. And once they realize that you are the type of person that's nice and is willing to allow them to be who they are, the narcissistic personality of who they are, they will replicate it. Imagine telling someone a deep secret and say to them, don't tell anyone else. And before you know it, everybody knows. People that you didn't even want to know. And you go to the person, you say, hey, why did you share my information? And they can't give you an answer. They gaslight you and say to you things like, you sure? Who told you that? But they're not saying that they didn't. They're trying to ascertain how you got the information, how it got back to you, and from whom they told got it back to you. There are many different types of personality disorders, right? And I've discussed with my friends on some of those personality disorders. You have the histrionic disorder. You have the narcissistic disorder. You have the sociopathic disorder. You have the psychopathic disorder, and many other destructive disorders. And I'm happy to say, for me, I don't suffer from these disorders. And I always say to people, hey, if I'm doing something that you don't like, tell me. Because I'm quick to tell someone when they're doing something that I don't like. I mentioned earlier, just a few minutes ago, that I don't belong to any religion. And people would say to me, like, hey, the way you operate, you're a Christian. I'm like, no, I'm not a Christian. I'm just the type of person that believe in do unto others as I like done unto myself. And I would tell them, hey, I created my own religion. And they would be like, you have your own religion? I say, yes, I'm a religion. The logo to my religion is a circle. And they said, what's the name of your religion? And I say, karmaism. Do unto others as you like done unto yourself. What goes around comes back around. So when you are in a situation or crisis, you tend to want to find a way for some kind of reprieve. And I will say this. If anyone out there wants to call in so we can have a conversation, let's do that, right? As you can see on your screen, it's 1-844-PUT-ME-ON. That's 1-844-788-6366. Let's talk about it. You can call in and we can have a conversation, right? And at some point, I'll play a video. And the video will say how you know if you're getting over a narcissist, right? So call in so we can have a conversation, right? I'm going to try to call someone and see if I get someone on the phone so we can have a conversation. Let me see who I can call. Give me a second. Here. Let me see who I can call and we can have a conversation. You know what? Let's try to call somebody here. Hopefully she answers. All right. Let's see. Let's see if she answers. Hope she does.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
That's awesome. Shay, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm live streaming right now, and I decided I'm going to call someone to have a conversation. I was ranting for a few minutes, and I decided I'm going to bring somebody in on the conversation.
Sounds good, sir. Sounds good.
So you have asked me before to do some conversation on mental health. And it's been a while and I haven't done it. And I can tell you this much. You've known me for, like I like to say, since 19 how long? A very long time. And you know some of the experiences that I've had. And you yourself have dealt with people that have mental health issues. And so you've been asking, hey, Soshai, why don't you talk about mental health? So let's have a conversation.
Yes, let's have a conversation.
Give me just a second, make sure that that is heard. All right, give me a second here. All right, so we're both being heard over the stream. Have you dealt with anybody that is a narcissist?
I wouldn't say completely no.
What have been your experience?
It depends on if the person has a mental health problem.
Mm-hmm.
It can appear that they are narcissists or not. It depends. So in my case, because I know the person, it can appear that he's narcissist, because of his mental health. But I think it's more like a mental problem than. But narcissist people do have mental issues. That is a mental problem for them, and it's in the worst kind ever. So, they are controlling. They are manipulating you in so many ways. And if you're a weak-minded person, you will fall for certain things.
Yes.
And you have to be a very strong-hearted person to deal with everything. And it's not even coming from who they are, because I think it's far from that. Some people are. I would say we had a conversation about how children are raised, and some of the parents are just messed up mentally, so they kind of put down to the kids, and then the kids come out being the same way. And they don't even know they're acting that way.
That's true.
So, and some people don't even know that they are narcissists, and that's the scary part of it. And you're going to deal with these people are in like the workforce. Your boss, or your coworker. And that's scary because I dealt with that working at Home Depot in Miami.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
I would say one of my managers, she was like, I respect, I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but she wasn't my immediate supervisor, but she was on the Met team, and she would always come around and she would always mess with me. Shay, what are you doing? Why are you sitting down? I remind you, I was not only pregnant, but I was on workers' comp. And she constantly came in. She harassed me so much that I had to file a complaint with the Equal Opportunity Act people against Home Depot and against her. So yeah.
How did Home Depot deal with it? What were the
Home Depot's, so you might remember Home Depot is a big company.
Correct.
And they don't have HR directly in their stores. They don't have an HR person that's working in the store. So you have to call the HR and you got to make a complaint. And majority of the time, they would try to resolve the problem with, you, the manager, and the immediate supervisor. But because we was one team called the Met team, and we was going from store to store to store. We only had one immediate supervisor, and then each department had a supervisor. So let's say it's like 9 departments. We had 9 different managers and one head manager who basically was never there. So I was in hardware. I had an immediate supervisor who was way younger than me. I believe he was like 20-something years old. And then she came on working from the North Miami store. And she, like I said, she came in as a supervisor in electric department. So I think she had electric and maybe floor or garden or something like that. So she wasn't my immediate supervisor, but she always came around and messed with me. So for no reason. I mean, one time I was sitting at the desk with my supervisor and she came up to me and she's like, what are you doing sitting down? And, don't you supposed to be training? And my supervisor looked at her like, what?
Do you think it has something to do with jealousy? Maybe you were performing better than her and she had an issue with that?
I don't know. But like I said, people deal with. I mean, I was already pregnant, so I was emotional. So you messing with me, you messing with a pregnant woman,
Yeah.
emotional. Like, trust me, I'm gonna get you. So if the revenge like bug came on, and I was like, lady, if you don't leave me alone, like. But every time she did come around me, I was doing my job, so she didn't have anything to say. And then she said something to me one day, like,
Mm-hmm.
um, I forgot what she said, but it kind of hit me. And I was like, this lady actually harassing me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and unfortunately, I didn't know it was narcissism, the behaviors, and, back then I didn't know anything about it. It was recently, years after, I have a friend, one of my close friends. She was in a relationship with a guy,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of taught me, the signs and stuff. Just sent me little pictures or little things that she found on the internet and stuff. And I was like, girl, that sounds dangerous.
You know
So,
what's crazy? That I had no clue of what a narcissist was. When what I can actually remember is you're so vain, you're so shallow, or why you trying to imitate me? And why everything I tell you, you have to repeat it back to everybody? Why are you so extra? And then I started realizing, like, it wasn't, you know, we all know that back in the last few years, the term narcissist, narcissists became so huge. It's like that was a new buzzword, right? And
yeah, everything that you do is a narcissist. But
every, go
it's
ahead.
narcissism personality disorder.
Yes.
So, like I said, some people don't even know that they are. Like I had a crush on this guy a long time ago, and he told me that he was, and I was like, how? I never saw it,
Mm.
but for him to admit that he was, that was big.
I think, well, I'm going to assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? Maybe he had already started seeking out help from a therapist, and the therapist pinpointed his behaviors and informed him, like, hey, you have these behaviors that is attributed to being a narcissist, right?
Mm,
And so now he's able to say, yes, I'm a narcissist, and admit it to someone, because I would assume that if you know you have a certain behavior and you are around someone and that person start experiencing these behaviors, it is beholden to you to tell them that this is what I am experiencing, this is who I am, and these are my attributes, whether negative or positive. Often people will see positive attributes and they will say, oh, this is a good person. They'll see negative attributes and they'll say, oh, you're a bad person. And then it's a disorder that the person don't even know that they have, like you said,
yeah.
you know.
So, um, it's it can in being that way can also it can mess with the other person mental health too, because like I said, we're not a strong hearted person to deal with that person.
Mm-hmm.
It can mess you up because everything they do is going to affect you.
Correct. 100%. I can tell.
So,
I can tell you personally, Shay, that you know I've told you what I've experienced over the years, and you know what I've experienced over the years, right? Because we've known each other so long. And I can tell you this, that sometimes, sometimes, you know, I have my head shaved, and sometimes I feel like I want to pull my hair out of my bald head because it's like, imagine. going to someone or the person coming to you and say, hey, I'm not trying to get into your business. I'm not trying to get into your affair, but such and such and such and such. And then you thinking that you could change this person, or you think that person changed, and it was all a farce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say it, people don't want me to, but I grew up with a mom that, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. And my brother is not my biological brother. We've known each other for such a long time, since I was 8 and he was 9. So we just call each other brother. We pass the friend threshold and we just say we're brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And my biological brother on my mother's on my mother's side passed away. And everything that he used to do bad, she now blames me and said I did those things. And there are certain things that I could mention that would make people's mouth drop. This narcissistic personality disorder is nothing to mess with.
Mm-mm.
Nothing to mess with. Right? And I lived with this experience for years, and people always say, hey, why don't you get away from that? You know, imagine.
But
Go ahead.
let me stick a pin right quick. Let me cut in. And for those who's listening, stick a pin to make it so let me stick a pin. Me interrupt.
Yeah.
I personally think it's a case of what my life coach once told me and taught me. She said that my life coach one time.
Mm-hmm.
Now she taught me how to recognize behaviors in different people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just the way they was brought up. Like, especially when it comes down to, let's talk about Jamaican parents.
Oh,
like a lot of them was raised like that. So shy, it's not their fault. Like their parents treated them like that, and it's like a generation curse. And then now you come as the child, and you adopt this from them. Like you like what? And I grew up, as the Jamaican parent as well.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was very strict.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't allowed to do certain things, even though I snuck and did it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a teenager. I was a very, very rebellious teenager.
Yeah.
So, and I can't tell you, like, me and my mom was getting into an argument, I would get boxed in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But understanding, that's how she was raised. She was raised by her grandmother, not her mother.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like she adopted this codependence. She adopted this codependence, and that codependence was passed on to me. And I always said to myself that when I have children, I was not going to treat my children like that. I was not going to beat them for every mistake they made. If I can never say I had like a straight argument with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We had disagreements, and but never a straight up argument. Never argue, because I I felt that I didn't have that relationship with my mom, so I was going to have that relationship with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So if something happened right now, my daughter is like 28. She's in her 20s. She's still learning life. No matter how much I tell her not to do this, she's going to do it anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I let her be an adult. And so, as being an adult, just like being a child, you're going to make mistakes. Life is not all perfect.
True, true, true. Yes.
So you're going to make mistakes, and you have to allow a child to be a child, and you have to allow an adult to be an adult.
Right. Very true. Very true.
So, like I said, the codependence was passed on to your mom from her mom and from, you know. So I believe your mom is
Mm-hmm.
at a age that when they get a certain age, social, they can't deal with aging.
Oh no, no,
Also,
no. My mom has been like that for as I'm gonna interject and tell you something.
you no, but you told me some stories, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, and these days now, that would be abuse.
Oh, oh yeah. I- If I talk about some stories, and probably people are going to want me to talk about some stories, but I have some stories that things, and what's crazy now that my mother says that she never did any of these things. Even
Lack of
even
empathy.
even one of my siblings, he called a meeting with me and my sister, and asked my sister in front of me, "Did I do this?" And my sister smiled and said, "Yes, mom, you did." And she, "Oh no, I never did it." "Yes, mom, you did." Right? And I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you a story. One. I'm gonna talk about one of the story. Right? And I'm probably gonna mention this again. When I was in high school, you remember when we were young, the daytime TV shows that used to come on, As the World Turned, Days of Our Lives, uh, eh,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Stories.
Hmm?
The
The
stories.
stories.
Mm-hmm.
So school get out at 2:30. Remember, high school gets out at two
Mm-hmm.
thirty,
Mm-hmm.
right? My mom had me on a clockwork where she'll be at work and she'll call the house at 3 o'clock because I had to leave school to get home by 3 o'clock. Mine before when I moved to live with my mom brought me to live with her. I I was young. I was 13, and so by the time I moved to live with her, I already passed the time to get into junior high because they were transitioning ninth grade over to the senior high. So because I already passed that time, I had to wait it out until Norland Junior ninth grade was moved over to Norland Senior, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would be at home and my mom would be at work and I would have to watch the stories because she can't be watching the stories while she's at work, right? So I'd have to watch the stories, and then when she calls, I have to tell her everything that happened, right?
Wait, what?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would have to tell her everything that happened with Days of Our Lives, scene by scene, everything that happened with As the World Turned, and so on and so forth with all the shows that she had me watching and giving her updates. So she would threaten me like I know she's serious, right? Give me a second. I know she's serious because she would say, "Boy, you're not home yet to watch the show. Don't let me have to leave work and come and I know what that meant, right?" So I
Mm-mm.
remember one day I had it was test time, and I'm in school, and the teacher said, "Hey, you have to stay after to take a makeup test." I believe it was a makeup test. And I was like, "No, I can't do it. I have to do it tomorrow. I have to get home." And she said, "No, if you don't do the test now, you won't be able to do it tomorrow because tomorrow we're going to be on to something else." So I had to stay later and do the test. So I'm supposed to be home at 3, by 3 o'clock, because school gets out at 2:30, and it takes about 20 minutes to a half an hour to get home. So I had to hurry home,
Mm-hmm.
walk in. So I missed the, the episode that she wanted me to watch. When she called, she, "Where were you, boy? Where were you?" I was at school. I had to take a test. What? And she went off on me.
Wow.
And she, I said, "Mom, I had to take a test, right?" My mom said, "If you open your mouth one more time and say another word, I'm going to leave work and I'm going to come home and I'm going to beat you." And I got totally scared at that moment, totally terrified at that moment. And she hung up the phone. So I'm thinking everything was okay. Do you know my mom left work? We're living in Miami, in Miami Gardens. My mom was working up in Sheridan area, Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale area. Sorry, not Hollywood. My mom left work. Fort Lauderdale, I know she was working a good distance away, right? My mom left work. Well, that was Fort Lauderdale. It was a good distance away. My mom left work, came home, and tear my behind up, tear my ass up, because I missed watching the series, the episode, and then she went back to work. Right? I never knew what type of personality that was. Is when I got older, right? In my 30s, I started learning about narcissism. I always knew about multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, as they call it, right? Multiple personality disorder. I think it's called something else now, right?
Bipolar.
Bipolar, bipolar disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was what my mom was dealing with, because she was super nice to people, right? And she had favorites. As you know that, right? That she had favorites. So 2 of her children were favorites and 2 of her were not. And everybody that knows the family knows that the 2 darker ones were not the favorites. That the 2 lighter ones were the favorites. Right? And if it was to be mentioned to my mom now, she would say she's never done that, because she's in her 70s, almost 80. She says she's never done that. And that's just one of the things that I experienced with my mother, amongst many other. You know, I was, at the time, I was 15 years old. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was a 15 or almost 15, because I turned a different age at the end of the year. So if somebody is 18 years old, and and January, February, March, they turn 18. I don't turn 18 until December, right? So I was still, at the time, I think I was still 14, or just turned 15. But I remember my mom coming home and tearing my behind up and then going back to work. Ask me if I missed another episode after that.
Wow.
No, I did not, because I was scared of my mom leaving work or listen, people, like I said, people don't want me to talk about the things I've experienced, right? And
Can you imagine how many children are experiencing the same thing now
yes,
in 2025? And
yes,
you're talking about in the early 80s and the 90s?
yes,
Huh.
yes,
Listen, that was straight abuse.
yes.
No question about it. You would have been in Florida Department of Children's
But
custody.
they came to the house, and I lied to them for my mother
Mm,
because the neighbors called, and my sister called. Listen, my sister, one of the beloved child of my mother, called children and family on her because of her behavior. And when they came there, I lied to them. The woman came up. The two police officers came. The woman came up and she says, I came to talk to you because I was told to talk to you. And she asked me the questions. I'm like, no, that's never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. I was lying through the skin of my teeth because,
wow.
that day they came to arrest my mother. That's why two police officers accompanied her, accompanied the social worker. I remember sitting on the staircase, on the step in the front, right by the front door, at the front door, when they came.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it was me and my other other sister that was sitting out there. Right, and she got up and walked inside. I told her like, "Hey, go inside." But I know I told you some stories, and even though I'm talking right now, like my heart feels heavy because I know I'm on camera and I just want to let it out.
Mm.
I want to let it all out because I've had this bottled up inside me for a long time. And some people might say, "Oh, you're airing your dirty laundry." But what I'm talking about could help someone,
Right.
right? And maybe I have to be the guinea pig or the the person that they can look at and say, "This man is willing to talk about what he experienced." Listen, I know how.
Sunshine,
Go ahead.
people um in among um Jamaican people, people from the island, straight up, they do not believe in mental health. They believe that the child's bad. They must get open, deal with them, whoop them backside. Um, and it's a problem. It's a problem among Black people or people of color. And I'm going to say Black people, people of color.
Let me
Let
interject
me
for a
correct
second.
myself.
It's a problem amongst every community. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. But amongst us, we are we shun mental health help.
Of course.
Now it's becoming more acceptable because we're in the age of where a lot of people, men, are told to let it all out, and most men are soft nowadays because what I've dealt with and people like that in my age group and younger that are from our ethnicity
Mm-hmm.
dealing with, the younger generation can't deal with it. And think about it. I've not taken any drugs, any medication. I don't even smoke, right?
Right.
And imagine how many people have actually off themselves or became so doped out that they don't even know their head from their behind, right?
Mm.
You know, and what we're talking is a risky conversation, you know, because
It's
there's
not risky.
hmm?
It's not risky. It's not a risky conversation. It's a conversation that needs to be.
Yeah,
Um,
I say
it needs to happen.
I say it's a risky conversation because most people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to open up about it.
What was that rapper name? His name was like X something. What was his name?
Are you talking about XXXTentacion, or are you talking
You know, yes, him.
the rapper from down here
Yes,
that is Jamaican mother?
yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, you know, he was bipolar.
Yes. Yes, he was bipolar.
So everything that that little boy was doing, um, in and out of jail, acting up, um, abusing his girlfriend, um, just doing all kinds of stuff. He was bipolar. His parents knew. His mom knew, and she did not put him on medication. As a matter of fact, she said it on on TV. They don't believe in that. If your kid is bad, or if your child bad, and
Remember I said
then you just
about using
right.
that word.
If you, but you know, it's a Jamaican thing.
Yeah, but
If your child is
mhm.
bad,
Mhm.
whoop them, beat them, straighten them out with a belt.
Mhm.
That's their belief, and I think that's the belief of a lot of people of color, especially people who come from the islands. They don't believe in taking a child to a therapist. They don't believe in taking a child to a therapist and oh no, he needs to get out. He needs to, let him be a child. And no, 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 no. If your child is acting up in school,
Mhm.
if your child is um, behaving in a certain way,
Mhm.
remember me, you had this conversation about the barber um, belittling his 5-year old in
Yes.
front of.
Yes. Talk.
And I said,
You and I have the conversation after you finish your thought. Let's talk about that again.
so they don't believe in like taking a kid to a therapist and have their child sit down from a therapist and find out what is the and half of the time it's the periods.
Yes.
Half the time the period. Listen, people, leave your bull crap out of a child's way. Leave the child out of your foolishness. Okay? They don't have anything to do with your divorce. They ain't got nothing to do with your relationship. They ain't got nothing to do with your codependence. They ain't got nothing to do with your mental health. They, come on now.
Mhm.
So you and the parents need fixing too. Because if you can't fix yourself, how you gonna fix your child? You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You sitting up here, you smoking weed, you're doing drugs in front of your child, you acting a certain way, you cursing, you um you allowing certain things to happen, and then when the child start acting up and reacting to certain things, then you wonder why. Like seriously?
Mhm.
No, no. Okay, absolutely not. You're messed up. Now you're putting your this foolishness in your child head, making them think that it's their fault.
Mhm.
No, you're just f up, and now your child's gonna be f up too.
One hundred
So
percent.
no, it's like, oh, come on, go in front of go talk to therapy. I went to therapy twice because I did not know how to deal with my foolishness. Okay,
Mhm.
but like I said, I had to learn my codependence, where it came from, and not to adopt that and take that towards my children. So I have a I have a 13-year-old who I love to death. He's ADHD, very hyper, very smart, but sometimes he can test your buttons. But at the same time, my child's on medication. You know, I get him on the weekends, like right now, he's out of school, he's
Mm-hmm.
home. I allow him to be as hyper as he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he likes to play video games and stuff like that. But if I see that he's getting a little bit out of hand, oh no, it's medication time. Like, let's chew this pill up. Let's mix up with some applesauce. Let's take this.
Mm.
Calm you down. Let's take it down a notch because you're doing too much. You know, but I also got him in sports. I try to keep him as active in as much. But he also likes to do. He wants to cook. He wants to, you know. I don't trust him yet. He wants me to allow him to cook, and I'm like, nope, because I know, you know. So, um, I set boundaries for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also allow him to be a child. You know, I don't want him to grow up too fast. So, and also he doesn't have a cell phone. So, and he keep begging me like, no, you're not mature.
Don't give him one yet.
No.
I gave my daughter, you know, I gave my daughter a cell phone for 8th birthday. Biggest regret. Biggest regret.
Mm-hmm.
At the time because she she had you know, I thought like, okay, she's in school and you remember her mother would just when if she and I had an issue, she'd just come and pick her up and take her away, right? And I'll be at home
Mm-hmm.
waiting for her to come home or waiting to go pick her up, and she's not around, and because you know that happened, and so I gave her a cell phone, so if something should happen, I'm able to get in touch with her. And I'm telling you, I wish I'd waited until she was like 12, at least. But you know, that's that. Uh, you're right about parents not placing their trauma on their children. Imagine
Right.
a lot of parents, and I've many times women would do it. They would tell their son, "Oh, you're just like your father. You're a piece of
Mm.
just like your father. You're a liar, just like your father." All right, and then when you get to talk to your father, and your father start telling you things, you're like, "Huh?" You start scratching your head, like, "Huh? Yes, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that." And then you start putting two and two together and realize who the bad guy is or the bad person is, right?
Right.
And that's one way I noticed that mothers would create a codependency or a way to control their sons and even their daughters, you know. And some mothers are harder on their daughters than are on their sons.
Mothers raise their daughters and spoil the sons.
Right, and then the son grow up to be just like the mother, right? And when the son start rebelling, the mother
Hmm.
can't deal with it because now the son come to the realizations like, hey, I see you now. I know who you are. You are the person that's causing this problem. You are the person that destroyed the family because of you who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much I want to talk about.
First,
So
you can't talk about it in one session. And I don't think you can have a conversation about mental health in one session. So shall I
I'm going
keep
to
talking?
I'm going to
Yeah,
share
keep talking.
yeah, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this, right? And I'm going to share it on screen and I'm going to read it, right? So it's the different, I did a Google search, right? And let me share the screen. So give me a second. All right. Oh, let me minimize this. Okay, it went out. All right, let me bring it back. All right, so let me minimize this so I can get it correct. I made it a little bit too big. All right, let me take myself off the screen and bring this down. And I'm going to read it. Oh, no, let me come over here and do this. Let me do this. Give me a second. I think I made it too big. All right, let me see if I can bring this over. Okay, no, I can't. I did a zoom the wrong way and it's not showing what I wanted to show, how I wanted to show it. Shucks. And I can't fix it while I'm doing the live stream. Oh, okay, I can fix it. Let me minimize this right here. Okay, good, I got it. And let me now expand it here. I can expand it. All right, so come over here back and minimize a little bit more. All right, so there it is now. All right, so I'm going to read this. All right, it says, narcissistic personality disorder can manifest in different ways, leading to the recognition of various types of narcissists. While the DSM-5 doesn't officially recognize subtypes, researchers and therapists often criticize narcissism based on specific traits and behaviors. Commonly recognized types include overt, grandiose. Those are the very happy people that, you know, they have to show out and show up and show out, you know? The overt and grandiose people. And then the vulnerable covert, the one that acts shy, like they are something is going, they're going to break if somebody says something too rough or too outspoken around them, right? And then you have the malignant narcissist, right? You know, it's like a tumor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the communal narcissist, and those are the ones that, you know, are happy-go-lucky, and you know, and so let me do something real quick. I want to check something. Give me a second here. Let me go back and want to just there's something here. Give me a second. Oh, shucks. Oh. Doing this quick search or something. Okay. So let me go back. So then we had let's continue a little bit further. So we have the communal narcissist, the happy-go-lucky, community-friendly narcissist, and it says, here's a more detailed look at some of the types. Overt grandiose narcissists, right? Let me read this. All right. The overt grandiose narcissism is characterized by a sense of self-importance, an inflated view of one's ability, and a need for admiration from others. Individuals with this type of narcissism often display dominance, self-assurance, and exhibitionism. They may also be prone to aggregation. This form of narcissism is one of the more, let me highlight this. Okay. And okay. So let me read that again. Individuals with this type of narcissism often display dominance, self-assurance, and exhibitionism. They may also be prone to aggregation, and this form of narcissism is one of the more common types, and individuals are often described as having a grandiosity or a belief in their own exceptional abilities and talents, right? That's the overt grandiose narcissist, right? Let's go back and read the other, get the other one now. Then you have the next one, the covert, right? The covert or vulnerable narcissism is a type of narcissistic personality disorder characterized by a combination of self-centeredness, manipulative behavior, and an introverted demeanor. These individuals, highlight this, these individuals often appear insecure, humble, or sensitive, and may use passive aggressive behavior or play the victim to gain sympathy and control. That's my, They may also struggle with empathy and forming meaningful relationships, seeing others as objects to be manipulated rather than individuals. Note all points north. That's my experience with my mother. Right? She exhibit a bit of both of the grandiose and the vulnerable, more so the vulnerable. Right? Then let's go to the malignant narcissism, right? Malignant narcissism is a form of narcissistic personality disorder characterized by a combination of grandiose self-importance, low empathy, and additional features like exploitation, hostility, and potentially antisocial, paranoid, or sadistic tendencies. It's considered more severe than typical NDP and can involve a range of manipulative behavior and a lack of remorse. Wow.
That's it.
Then you have the communal narcissism is a form of narcissism that focuses on persons' perceived importance and helpfulness in communal or interpersonal contexts rather than individual power and status. It differs from agnostic narcissism, which is more, let me highlight all of this, which is more focused on personal achievement and dominance. Individuals with communal personality may display traits like being overly helpful, feeling like they are the best friend, or being preoccupied with being liked and appreciated for their generosity. I know that personality as well. I've experienced that personality from the same, right? Wow. I'm telling you. And let's go to this one.
Wow, that's deep. That's very deep.
That's very big, very deep.
Yeah.
And and then we have the how you pronounce this word? Antagonistic. Let me spell it. ANTAGONISTIC. STIC, antagonistic narcissism, describes a form of narcissism where the individual's grandiose sense of self and need for admiration are coupled with the tendency of being confrontational, hostile, or oppositional towards others. Wow, I know that personality. Wow. Imagine one person encompassing all these type of narcissistic disorder. Let me continue. These individuals often view relationship as a power struggle and may engage in behaviors designed to manipulate, control, or undermine others to maintain a feeling of dominance. I know this personality, antagonistic narcissism. Wow, there are so many different types of narcissists.
That's crazy.
Wow. I need to read this. Let me read this one more time. People, this one is called antagonistic narcissism. Described as a form of narcissism where the individual's grandiose sense of self and a need for admiration are coupled with a tendency to be confrontational, hostile, or oppositional towards others. These individuals often view relationship as a power struggle and may engage in behaviors designed to manipulate, control, or undermine others to maintain a feeling of dominance. Crazy, Shay.
That's mind blowing. And you have people out there that's actually like this, and it's scary because they don't show that side of them up front.
No, they don't. They don't.
It takes like that's scary. That's very scary.
Yo, I have to do another episode and delve deeper and go over this again because I don't think people know the different type of narcissists. I don't think people know the different type of narcissists. Wow.
You have those that then you have another side of narcissists that's controlling, abuse, and abusive. They're and the ones who like the same name they call him Puff Daddy right now. They said that he was a narcissist, and it's true. He was.
Yeah,
he had money.
He's not was. He is. He's a narcissist.
Yeah, he had money. That money gave him power over a person, and he took that to his advantage so much. And it's funny how people, especially like people who's close to him, like his own family, his friends, his best friend also, saying that, they never saw that side of him. Like, seriously?
Yeah, right.
Seriously?
Right. They all saw it. They all saw it. They knew he was like that. Come on.
And the fact that he had money, that even made the situation even worse. So, because he didn't show no type of empathy towards anybody. And it's like he kept on going on and going on and going on and going on and going on because he had that much power.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know how much women find themselves in that same situation? And it's that's another subject to talk about because the way some of these young women are being raised is like it's mind blowing. Like
they will literally take the abuse because of the money.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's exactly what Cassie did. She took the abuse because she liked the lifestyle.
It was about fame,
Hmm.
and not only about that, he had owned her. She was signed to his label.
No,
He owned,
she got out of the contract. She was able to get out of the contract.
yeah, years later,
Yeah.
when she was an adult, like, later on, she's in her 30s now. Like, what? She's like 30 something years old?
Yeah, yeah, she's 30 something years old.
But he took advantage of that from day one. Like, come on, he had owned everything about her. She couldn't do nothing else without his permission when it came down to her music, her lifestyle. He everything that clothes, the way she walked, the way she talked, the way she appeared in front of with him
Yeah,
had to go through him
yeah, he styled her.
pretty much.
Yeah,
So yeah,
he styled her.
power. And his son is growing up to be the same
Same
way.
way.
Another messed up parents, burden messed up children.
No, 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 no. I beg to differ. No, 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 no. The child don't have to become like the parent. Look at. Okay, of course, I have some trace tendencies like my mother, right? But I'm not a narcissist, right? I'm a very blunt person. And I think that came because me being blunt and being overtly honest, like it came from, it was developed because I grew up around being constant lies. So imagine you see something and you're told that what you see is not what you see. So
Mm.
I would always call that that's a lie, and I would get my ass whipped, slapped in my face. Listen, when I was young, when I say slapped in my face, I think I told you I have a dislocated jawbone. I've ever told you?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have a
Mm-mm.
dislocated jawbone. It's not fully in, and sometimes when my mandible hurt, I have to put my hand in my left ear, right, and push it and move my jaw left and right for it to crack, right? People that like Chris, my brother, he knows, he's seen me done it. Many people have seen me done it, where I put my hand in my ears, and right. That's because I got slapped in my face so hard that it dislocated my jawbone.
Mm.
Right?
That wasn't a slap. That was a punch.
No, no, it was a slap. She boxed me in my face so hard it dislocated my jaw. But she says she would say she's never done that. But my high school friend at the time, Dwight Lester, remember, I can remember asking him to punch me in my jaw to put it back in because I was scared of going to the school, the guidance council, right? Because I know if I went there, they would have asked? What happened, right? And then I could either lie or tell the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it, I already had told the truth to Dwight. And Dwight already knew what happened, right? Because I couldn't talk and I had to whisper to him what happened. So he knew. And what would have happened, the guidance council have asked if anybody else knew that this happened or what happened. And obviously, Dwight knew what happened and he would have mentioned it. And what do you think would have happened?
Hmm. All hell would have broke
All
loose.
hell would have broke loose. So I never mentioned it back to her that she did this. And years later, she said, "Oh, I'm lying. I saw it on TV and it never happened." Anything I call her out on, I'm lying. I saw it on TV. It never happened. Right? Even if other people saw it happening, she would say they're lying and she's the one telling the truth. Right? So Listen, dealing with a narcissistic family member, friend, anyone can become a very dangerous environment for people that are the narcissistic supply. I was the narcissistic supply. All right. So just say, let me make sure okay, save this. All right. So I've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, Jay. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna play a video and then I'm gonna end the stream. Let me go to that video. Um, so let me pull that video up and screen share. All right, so I'm gonna play this video. How you know you're if you when you're getting over narcissism. So I'm just gonna play the video, and after the video, I'll end the stream. So you can stay on or you can hang up. It's up to you. All right.
Want to know how to know when you're healing from narcissistic abuse? You know you're healing when your body starts rejecting what it used to tolerate. So what once felt normal now feels unbearable. Loud, chaotic environments rattle your nervous system. Small talk and fake smiles leave you feeling hollow. Negative energy doesn't just bother you, it physically exhausts you. And in the beginning, you might think that you're just overstimulated. But those feelings aren't from being overstimulated. It's not that. It's your wisdom. It's your body finally recognizing when you're in an unsafe environment. It's your internal alarm system trying to alert you that this is not where you want or need to be. Because as your trauma unravels, your intuition sharpens. You sense tension and toxicity before words are even spoken. You pick up on subtle shifts in energy, and your body starts leading the way. Healing isn't just a mindset, it's a full body transformation. And once you start listening, your peace becomes non-negotiable. When you reach this point in your healing, never again will you lower your standards for anyone. Those days are officially over. Want to know how to
All right. Jay, are you still there? Okay. You must have hang up.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you're still there. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. I'm a bit nervous. I am a bit nervous, and because I really truly just want to open up and just let it all out. But I'm wondering about the backlash. What's going to come? Because
Mm,
you know how how she is. You know how my mother is. And if she hears a stream somehow, somebody send it to her, whatever, you know the backlash. And
are you, are you worried about the backlash and the truth getting out? Because somebody else is listening to this and relating it to how they was raised also. So um, you never know. You might be able to save somebody by coming out with the truth, and the truth sometimes hurt. And if she does listening to this, if she does, um, somebody share it with her. Oh well, like you tried to ruin your son, and now it's time. It's like like in Christianity, people will say it's time to repent.
mm,
So
and you
you
know
know,
that I'm dealing with a crisis that she caused because she wasn't honest all the years when I've been asking her. That crisis that we're not going to mention, but that I'm dealing with a crisis that it could have been solved so long ago if she had just been honest and not withhold information from me.
of course, of course. So
And I think you know that it was all because I wouldn't sit down and listen to her over and over talk about my biological father because she had this deep-seated hatred for him, which is why she treat me the way she treat me because I look like him. I'm a constant reminder to him about
Mm,
him. So you know, um,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and learning some truths about that. Oh man, okay, I learned the truth. I learned the truth. I finally learned the truth a few years back as to why she's been so wicked towards me.
Hmm.
Finally learned the truth. But
But
you're right.
going to therapy, does work. It gives you the insight of how to move on.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the insight how to manage stress, anxiety, um, and what you can change today.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened yesterday and the day before that does not matter. It's how you continue living your life every day. So,
True. If I didn't have friends like you and a few other friends that are close, and I'm able to just vent some of the times, I think I would have probably gone crazy already. You know, like because
yeah, yeah,
I think I would have gone crazy already. There's just so much. You know.
yeah. It's so much a person can to deal with one time. So,
You know.
but
It's just so much.
my
Some
advice to you is go sit down with somebody and have a professional person and talk to them. It helps. Therapy does help.
yeah,
And
yeah.
don't be ashamed of it either. So,
Yeah, like I've been going this long. I've talked to a therapist, a friend of mine, just briefly, and she was like, "Hey, you need to at least go sit down with someone and talk." But I tell you this: if I didn't have friends like you, that's been around for a very long time, like Chris, and that's my brother, and others that know, like if it was just like me dealing with it and no one knew that these things were happening, I probably would have gone crazy already, right? um but to have friends around that when I say these things are happening, like, oh, no, 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 that's not true, I can't believe that, your mom, I can't believe that. And then say, you don't know. And then when they come around and then they see it for themselves, they're like, I can't believe you were telling the truth. And sometimes I tell you, I'm an older guy now, but sometimes
imagine you to put those little hidden cameras like I told you to do
yes,
and caught everything on tape.
yes,
Oh, then
yes,
people would understand.
yes,
But you're talking about it. Um, it's unbelievable. But yeah, you got some women out there that treat their kids like that. It's ridiculous.
yes, there's some insidious things that have happened over the years, and I tell you that, you know imagine dealing with this since I was a child and
Hmm.
into my adulthood. you know there's so much. Sometimes I just sit down or I'm walking, I'm talking to myself like a crazy man, and tears just rolled out of my eyes. Like it happens a lot in these
You're grieving.
yeah.
You know, there's
I,
you're yes,
yes,
that's what it is.
I'm grieving because, you know, especially
And that person's not even dead yet, and you're grieving. You're like it's a part of healing. So trust me, I know exactly how you feel. So shy. Talking to friends is fine, but when you sit down with a one-on-one session with a therapist,
mm-hmm,
it helps. So with people who's dealing with any type of mental health problem or any type of issues that they find it hard to resolve by themselves, it's okay to go talk to someone. It's okay to sit down and let it out with that person because you shouldn't have to go through it by yourself alone. And that's why the suicidal people are so suicidal, especially today. There's so much going on.
Right.
And and that, like I said, if you're not a strong hearted, strong minded person, it will beat you down. Some people tend to
Right.
go to drugs. Some people get high. Some people kind of, manage their feelings and keep it inside until one day they just blow up and start shooting up the place. And you wonder why these things happening.
Right. Right. Right.
So, but that's another topic because I can tell you something that happened at my apartment complex at the next session. So, you're gonna be like, "Wow."
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about it. We'll do another call, and we'll talk about it. Let me tell you. You know, I
And
have
that
to.
was my neighbor, and nobody up to this day, nobody wonder like, what, like, where this came from? Like, yeah, yeah. So much people dealing with so much mental health right now. It's bothering, you know. But it's a healing.
Hmm.
It's a healing process. You're not gonna heal overnight. Don't do it by yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it.
No, I'm not.
Don't
I'm not.
don't
Go ahead.
focus on what happened. Try to come up with some solution. I don't care if you get a book like a little diary and start writing down
This is what I'm
whatever.
doing right now. This is why I'm
So
doing this because
yes. So
I'm going to get to the point where I'm just going to let everything out. Like I can't. It's eating me up inside, and like I said, sometimes I'm just walking by myself, and I'm just sitting by myself, and tears just came out of my eyes. Especially, what happened in January. January
hmm
2025. And that 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 was what put the icing on the cake for me when I realized no matter what I do good, no good deed goes unpunished.
yep.
And I I want to help other people that's dealing with the same or similar crisis like me. And I know you've been asking me for a while to just talk about mental health, and I've been putting
hmm
it off, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it out. I'm going to just talk because somebody will see this and somebody will want to understand what's going on, and maybe it helps
Yep.
someone because listen, these people, and the crazy thing about it, they know that they're doing it. At some point they know they're just wicked, you know.
Mm.
They're just wicked, you know. Ah,
All right.
my heart feel heavy right now. It's just because I feel like I just want to just let everything out one time, but I do it in another show. I do it in another conversation. All right. So
All right. It was
I
nice talking.
I appreciate you, and
No
we'll
problem.
we'll talk about your neighbor mental health issue and what happened on your complex.
Oh yes, that's another story. A matter of fact, I'm gonna look for the story and I'm actually send it to you
Hmm.
and let you read about it.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I can get the actual videos from the news station, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
work on it and send it to you
Yeah.
so you
Well.
can do a story on
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
it. Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, I appreciate you for hanging in there with me. If you've been watching, if you came on and came off or whatever, it's me expressing what I've been dealing with, and I'm going to be talking about it a bit more. All right, so with that being said, thank you for watching, and you know, this is going to be a journey because I'm going to be talking about so much in the next few days, few weeks. I'm going to be talking a lot. And I'm going to be talking about narcissist, narcissism, mental health issues. I'm probably just going to be rambling on and calling some people and having conversation. And anybody coming into the studio, just have a conversation. All right? So on that note, thank you.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate.